morning. Today is Saturday, June 19th, and it is 10 a.m. Eastern Daytime in US. We are starting our monthly distinguished lecture series called Speaking Up series. On behalf of the Board of Directors and the executive team of the ICHRRF, I invite our audience to yet another lecture in the ICHRRF Speaking Up series. A little bit about ICHRRF. International Commission for Human Rights and Religious Freedom is a US-based nonprofit focused on upholding human rights and religious freedom through continuous monitoring, policy intervention, and collaboration. We are focused on educational, research, legal, and human rights advocacy and charitable purposes, and strive to be an advocate for the human rights and religious freedom of underrepresented communities across the world. We believe that humankind can no longer afford to be selectively vocal about the rights of only a specific set of people. A more humane and just world necessitates fair treatment of all living human beings. Our focus is on indigenous rights and freedom, free speech, and their cultural preservation. Some of the initiatives taken by ICHRRF include monitoring violations of the freedom and sanctity of religious and philosophical freedom of minorities across the world. We also research into and documentation of the culture, history, and challenges faced by such persecuted communities. We provide policy recommendations on human rights, religious diversity, and pluralism to international organizations, agencies, national and local governments. We also do collaboration to support the cultural and philosophical diversity across the world. And this is our logo. And this is our today's lecture program through Speaking Up series, Contemporary Religious Movements and Pre-Christian Traditions of Europe. Our distinguished feature is Inija Trinkūnienė. Pardon my pronunciation. This is my ignorance that I may not have pronounced it correctly. She'll be speaking on contemporary religious movements and pre-Christian traditions of Europe. A little bit about our distinguished speaker. Inija is a Lithuanian ethnologist, folklorist, sociologist, psychologist, head of a folk music group called Kūlgrinda, and the high priestess of Romuva religion. This is an old Lithuanian faith. She became the high priestess after the death of the previous high priest, who was her husband, Jonas, in 2014. She is the founding member of the European Congress of Ethnic Religions, an organization for cooperation among associations that promote the ethnic religions of the Europe. The primary goal of European Congress of Ethnic Religions is the strengthening of pre-Christian religious traditions of Europe, emphasizing and fostering their ties and Neopagan movements. And I'm proud to say that she is one of my colleagues. She holds a master's degree in psychology from Vilnius University. And I mention that because I'm his practicing psychiatrist. She was featured as a speaker at the Indigenous Plenary Session at the Parliament of the World Religions in Toronto in 2015. Now, I'm not going to give the talk for her, but I will just introduce the topic to you all. This is the Romuva religious flag, you can see. And this is the fire ceremony. And this is the Romuva fire ceremony. it's sad that in Lithuania, where she comes from, the Lithuanian parliament refused to recognize Romuva as a formal religion, causing a lot of difficulties. So it's a sad story that Romuva people had to go to European Court of Human Rights and challenge the Lithuanian government's decision. And I'm happy to say that very recently they had a positive legal verdict from European Court of Human Rights in favor of Romuva religion, and Lithuanian government was told to recognize their religion as an established religion. And this tells you the European Court of Human Rights. This is just again a picture of the religious ceremony. And before I give the floor to Inija, I will just read out some of our housekeeping rules during the presentations. Kindly mute yourself to avoid noise interference. You can change your cell phone setting to vibration modes. Please do not try to interrupt our esteemed speaker when she is speaking. Only those members of audience who identify themselves openly will be allowed to ask questions at the end of the presentations. Those who join as anonymous speakers giving some iPhone number or something like that will not be allowed to pose questions. Please send all your questions by the chat function so that we can take them one by one. Please be precise and specific in asking a question, and please do not send comments in the form of a monologue. We are recording this distinguished lecture, and it will be available later on our YouTube channel as well as on our website, which is www.ichrrf.org. So without further ado, I will give the stage to our esteemed speaker, and she will now be, making her presentation, including her slide set. So, Inija,
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. I am very invited to make a lecture for you, and thank you, Carl, for introduction. Actually, you said the main things that I have prepared to present. So your introduction was actually the essence of my presentation. So, but anyway, as far as I prepared for my presentation, so I will do it. I will do it, and I will start. Yes, I need to share my screen. Yes.
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Is it okay?
Yes.
It's okay. Can you hear me properly? Yes. Okay.
Yes,
so
we can hear you and we can see your screen. Yeah.
Okay. So, and you see my screen. My screen. Okay. I'll do slideshow from beginning. Yes. Now it seems that it's okay. So I will speak about contemporary religious movements and pre-Christian traditions of Europe. And my name is Inija. Inija. So, so a little bit different from this one who introduced me. So, movements of the Renaissance of indigenous Europe at the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century. In various countries, motivation of this movement was different. In Central and Eastern Europe, appearance of ethnical religions was connected with national and nationalistic upsurge. For instance, in Germany, Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania, the rise of old belief meant the strengthening of nationality and break from the cosmopolitan Christianity. In Western Europe, England, Scandinavian countries, and France, emergence of the old belief meant protest against ruling churches and the attempt of the emancipated man to find his own way of life. We can find organizations of ethnical or pagan religions in the whole Western, Central, and Eastern Europe. I say that almost in all countries. The most active and widely known are ECER in Iceland and other Scandinavian countries, Romuva in Lithuania, Dievturi in Latvia, Rodzima and other. In the first European Congress of Ethnic Religious meeting that took part in 1998, it took part 120 members from 21 countries, from Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, Germany, France, Belgium, Denmark, Czech, Belarus, Russia, Ukraine, Great Britain, Norway, Sweden, United States, and other. Many of the members were representatives or leaders of the indigenous religions. So we started in 1998, and for some years these congresses were held in Lithuania mainly, and then other groups of indigenous religions, they decided to make congresses in their countries. So Greeks started, and then it was congresses held in Poland, in Czech, in Latvia. So these are photos from ECER meeting in 2014 in Vilnius in Lithuania. Here you see maybe some people whom you know from Hindu also. These are from people from Greece or making offerings. These are from Germany, praying to German gods. We are from Lithuania. These are from Latvia, making offerings, from Italy. It's mean, yes. So when describing the native traditions or pagan movements in Europe, so of course I have the more knowledge about Romuva, so I'll take Romuva as an example, and I think Romuva represents one of the movements or religious traditions in Europe. So we can say that Romuva embodies one of the oldest religions in Baltic region, which has no beginning, predates recorded history, and extends its spirit indefinitely in Baltic culture. This religion has no human founder, no major scriptures, and it's based on beliefs, myths, and folk songs. We call it dainos. A central feature of Romuva faith is a sacred fire that is constantly kept burning in every home in ancient times, and fire is considered the only worshipful symbol, the great purifier and sustainer of the nature and sun itself. And now it's important that people more and more recognize the importance and the meaning of sacred fire. And now in West Lithuania, for several years, there is place where fire is kept by people in one sanctuary, and people all time looking after it. So Lithuania, as some pieces of history, Lithuania resisted the Christian aggression, but was constrained to accept Christianity in 1487 politically for surviving. And what we can say that Lithuania is the last country in Europe to be Christianized. Therefore, nowadays we can be proud of it, because there are a lot of ancient heritage left in our folk songs and tales and so on. So the indigenous Lithuanian religion did not die. It was kept alive by farmers and country villagers who maintained their own ways even under Christianity and the Soviet rule. Young people from the cities, including myself, in 60s, 70s, traveled to the countryside to learn directly from the old people and ancestral traditions. So, as I said, attempts to revival Baltic Romuva's religion started in 19th century, but contemporary Romuva movements, its activities in 1967, it was suppressed by Soviets in 1971 and was persecuted. So this photo is one from the midsummer celebrations in 80s. At that time, it was illegal. So Romuva was registered as a religion community in 1992 when Lithuania became independent. So these are some photos from our midsummer celebration. So as you see, the fire is in the center. And Jonas Trinkūnas in 2013 was awarded by Lithuanian's president for maintaining the traditional culture. And here you can see in President Palace with president and Romuva people, he getting the president's award. So again, I can say that we can underline that the source of our Baltic religion is living uninterrupted tradition, and there are manifestations of it in all tales and other heritage of our ancestors. We celebrate calendar, family, and personal holidays. We conduct our rituals at either domestic or public sacred places. And the ancient Lithuanian folklore is one of the sources of Baltic traditions. So, all the Baltic religious rituals are performed to the accompaniment of traditional songs, and words can be expanded to include the names of the gods of the Baltic pantheon, which were banned during the years of Christian occupation. So people had to hide the names of their gods. Now we no longer have to hide, and we continue our tradition. So this is a photo from our midsummer celebration, and soon we have, after a few days, we have this midsummer celebration in all over Lithuania. So the COVID situation now is a lot better than previous years and a month or two before. So we have possibility to celebrate in open air, and we will do. So what I can say, so in independent Lithuania, over the past 3 decades, Romuva communities were founded one after another, and more and more families choose to have traditional child blessings, weddings, and funerals according to their ancient customs. Now I want to share some things concerning legal affairs of indigenous religions, mainly of Lithuania and Romuva. At first, I want to say that there is division of religious communities in 3 groups in Lithuania. So there are 3 levels of religious groups or religious communities, and 3 categories. So, and these categories are named, these groups, they according the traditionality and acceptance or recognition by state. So the highest group, or the group that has the most privileges, the groups, these religious communities are named traditional and recognized by state. So 2 things. They named traditional, and recognized by states. And mainly these communities, mainly they are Christian communities. That means that are called traditional and recognized by state. They are Roman Catholic, Greek Catholic, Evangelical Lutheran, Evangelical Reformed, Russian Orthodox, Judaist, Sunni, Muslim, and Karaite. So they have the most, they get financial support from the state and have a lot of privileges. The second group that has lower status, second, they are so-called not traditional, but recognized by state. So there are also some Catholic Christian communities, but there are some small communities. To become so, and the third group, the lowest level, is these groups, they are called not traditional and not recognized by state. So Romuva belongs to this lower category of organization. So, so 2 years before, we started our procedure of getting the recognition. So to getting the second level, that means to become not traditional, but by state. That means that in this case, we get possibility to register marriages and get some also that to get possibility that our marriages that we perform, that they can be legal. So for this purpose, we, according the law of religious law, we needed to wait 25 years. So we were registered in 1992. It was impossible to register earlier because we were under the communist Soviet rule. So only in 1992, we in independent Lithuania, we get registration, and after 25 years passed from our official registration, we applied to this little bit higher status. But we didn't succeed. We didn't succeed. And on June 27, 2019, 31 lawmakers of the Seimas, that means Lithuanian Parliament, voted against recognizing Romuva, while 40 lawmakers voted in favor of recognition. 31 lawmakers voted against recognizing Romuva, of which 15 abstained, causing the vote to fall short of the needed majority. Initially, Romuva would be welcomed as a recognized religion with 46 members of the parliament voting in favor. However, just few hours before the final and likely positive vote, Catholic Archbishop Gintaras Grušas voiced opposition to Romuva's recognition, spurring a conservative backlash. So recognition of Romuva by the Lithuanian state, as I said, would confer upon the group various legal rights, including being able to receive tax credits for real property, function as a charity, provide social insurance covering for its clergy, and gain legal recognition of marriages performed by Romuva. So, so after at the same after 2 months, we applied to the court for human rights. So we sued Lithuania to European Court of Human Rights, and almost 2 years, and on June, we the knowledge that we European Court of Human Rights so approved our appeal. So if it ruled that Lithuania has violated the human rights of Roma by not recognizing the religion. And it was written that state authorities, state of Lithuania, did not provide a reasonable and objective justification for treating the applicant association differently from other religious associations. The court concluded that the members of parliament who voted against the granting of state recognition did not remain neutral and impartial in exercising their regulatory powers. And it was emphasized by court that true religious pluralism is vital to the survival of democratic society. So, so in 35 the European Court for Human Rights noted that Parliament refused to grant status setting that the members of the Parliament had not relied on the conclusions of the relevant authorities, but has based their decision on their own religious convictions and political interests. They had invoked the applicants' associations' alleged threat to Christianity, quoted the arguments presented by Lithuanian Bishops' Conference in its letter to the members of the Seimas, and made baseless allegations about the applicants' association having links to the Kremlin. So there are several more arguments. The court rejected more arguments. So the arguments were that majority of Lithuanians being Catholic So the historical importance of Christianity in Lithuania and the impact which is granting state recognition to a pagan religious association would have on Lithuanians' relations with the Christian world and good relationships with the Catholic Church. So these were arguments by the members of parliament against Romuva. European Court of Human Rights wrote that state authorities did not provide a reasonable and objective justification for treating the applicant association differently from other religious associations, and concluded that members of parliament who voted against granting state recognition did not remain neutral and in exercising their regulatory powers. Yes, and so that's some things. So now now I am making sorry, little take my glass of water and remain in 1 minute.
Those who have questions, please put it in the chat, and Adityanji will read them out during question time. Thank you.
Yes. So what else I want to say? That at the time when we applied to get this state recognition, the ruling party were our friends. They were friends of us in ruling party of Lithuania, and but again, the opposition was strong enough, and we only few votes we miss. So nowadays situation, when we got this decision from European Human Rights, now the opposition party, Christian Democrats, are ruling party is Christian Democrat, but they that is, of course, that it's not good for us, because now we can apply after 3 months after this judgment, we can apply again to the parliament. But this is, as I said, that actually again, our I can say our enemies, maybe it's too strong to say, but anyway, it's in our ruling, and I don't know how it will work. It's that they will make everything to postpone this decision. So they will do everything. The good thing is that the Liberal Party is in coalition with the Conservative Party. They call it party of freedom. So these people they support us. They support, but they are not the main party. They are only 10 or maybe, I don't know, not many people. So not many parliament members, and we'll see. But one thing is good, that we got a lot of publicity. We got a lot of publicity, so both in Lithuania and in other countries, and this is for us is also is good to get the publicity, to be known, and to, in this case we become we become stronger. So and I think that it's what I wanted to say.
Dr. Adityanji, please unmute yourself.
Inija, have you finished your presentation, or you have some more?
Yes.
Okay, so we can go on to question and answers. And I'm very happy to see that the first question to our speaker from Lithuania is from a person who is Lithuanian herself. I have here Dr. Rajesh Raval and Mrs. Eva Raval joining us. And Mrs. Eva Raval says that she is Lithuanian and she would like to know more about Lithuania's old religious philosophy and stories. And she wants you to recommend to her some sources of information in English language where she can read more about old Lithuanian religious and philosophical traditions. And that's from Eva Raval.
Okay, so it's not I can read about what she because the sound is not very good in my computer, so but I can read about Eva. So and you can write me personally, so you can find Romuva LT, our page, and there you can find my email, and I'll answer you about this question. There are not a lot of books written in English about Lithuanian heritage. So next question is, I can see how many Romuva followers are here today. Yes, this question, what can I say? We have not official registration, so I can't say exactly, but I say that maybe 10,000, 20,000 or more, because Lithuania is a very small country. So I remember, I think that it was in first conference in India when somebody asked me the same question in India, and as I remember, my late husband Jonas Trinkūnas, he just started his answer that we have 3 million. He wanted to say inhabitants in Lithuania, but person who Hindu person said, "Oh, it's good, 3 million Romuva followers. That's not bad But actually, I can say that most Lithuanians have this feeling of ancestors in their hearts. Most of them have. And what I can feel it in our rituals when because we have open rituals not only for Romuva members but for everybody. When we make our celebrations, thousands of people are coming here, and they accept, even when they say that they are Catholics. Anyway, they accept what they are doing and what we are doing, and they feel close to these things.
Okay, so I'll move on, and I'm going to introduce a very important person. He's Professor Ved Nanda. He is the chairman of International Advisory Board of the ICHRRF, and he would like to say a few words. So Professor Ved Nanda, please.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much, Aditya, and I need to say how proud we are what you're doing. And I want you to know that there are many, many admirers that you have. I teach human rights, and it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago that I had sent a letter to you that you presented to them. And what had happened was that after that, in my human rights class, my students did some research, and they found very little material, but whatever material they found, they were very, very pleased. And my student, one of my former students, is the honorary consul for Lithuania here.
Oh.
His name is Vidmar. In the Denver, he is the honorary consul. So I reached out to him, and he reached out to the parliament, but nothing happened at that time. And then I sent another note, but nothing happened. And then I was very, very pleased that you went to the European Court of Human Rights. And European Court of Human Rights is the one that we at this law school and through our own program in human rights, we have not many times, but 4 or 5 times invoked the European Convention on Human Rights. So I was very pleased what has happened. And now the question that I have for you is, what is the next step? Because after the European Court of Human Rights has given its decision, as you know better than I do, almost all countries have complied with them. And that compliance is almost perfect until now, because even Russia, even Turkey, and all countries have complied with it. So I just wanted to know what's the next step, and thank you, Adityanji, for me to give my regards and warmest regards to Romuva people. Very proud of you, admire it. Thank you very much for doing what you are doing. And here, Adityanji and this group kindly stay in touch. And similarly, as you know, Pathakji and what he has been doing. So I think it's a great deal of congruence of our own ideas and great deal of synergy. So my sadar pranam to you. Thank you.
Thank you, respected Vednanda. So thank you for your support, for your letters, and so it was really good help for us. What next should we do? So it depends on our parliament. According to the law, why we applied to this European Court of Human Rights? Because it was 10 years, according to the law, to wait for next application, when we rejected this, our first application, it was requirement to wait 10 years. So now, after European court decision, we don't need to wait for 10 years for next application. But the thing is that as I now, what we will do, we will talk with members of parliament who support us, because still there are opposition party of our friends in opposition there. So and ask them to start again this application process, but not from not for ourselves, but from members of parliament that start. So sorry, I'm not aware if I explain good what I want to say. So but the thing is that they will do everything not to put it on the in program in parliament. They will do everything. So we'll see how it works.
Thank you, Inija. Thank you, Inija, for your answer. Next question is from Professor Yashwant Pathak. And rather than reading the question, I would ask him to ask the question directly. Professor Pathak is an important member of the board of directors of ICHRRF and the spirit behind it. So Professor Pathak, please directly ask your question.
Unmute, Pathakji.
Yeah, thank you, Inija, for coming and joining and giving us a wonderful lecture. My question is, you have been visiting India for so many years, and can you spell out some of the similarities within the Romuva religion and the Hindu thought processes back in India? Because Jonas used to be one of my good friends, and he has been telling a lot of things, so I will appreciate that.
Yes. So actually, there are a lot of similarities. There are a lot of similarities, and you know, India and our first visits to India, it was such kind of inspiration, because when we went to India, we saw these ancient traditions to be alive, and it was such a big inspiration for us. And there is a lot similarities in both in customs and both in philosophy and with Hindus and Romuva and Lithuania. But I see that there are only a few minutes left, so I just say this one, and maybe for next time it will be to talk about particular things.
Thank you, Inija. Our next question is from a very young person from Bengaluru, India, who is a young practicing attorney in High Court of Karnataka. And his name is Rishi Aneja. Rishi, if you can unmute yourself and ask the question directly, please. Rishi?
Thank you. Thank you for your talk. Very insightful talk. You have answered part of my question, which was regarding the next steps in terms of your movement for recognition and rights from the government itself. Now, the second part of my question relates to these next steps in keeping in mind that there seems to be little popular support from the majority of the people who may be opposed, and also from the political parties. So in terms of next steps, how do you plan to proceed in the face of this opposition? And if you make further applications to Parliament, is there a process by which the European Court of Human Rights is going to continuously monitor these further applications?
You know, actually, I can't say exactly about the process of monitoring. You know, these are some legal things that but actually it's now it depends on the parliament. There are some cases in Lithuania when former president won against Lithuania, you know, the case. So it took 15 years for him to be to this decision to be approved by Lithuanian parliament. So, you know, it takes time. Some people are talking about that the law over this religious law is not good because the parliament needs to take the decision, you know, and in it will be more it will be better that it will lay upon the Ministry of Justice, because Ministry of Justice it's they know about all the regulations and about everything, and they can do the decisions. So now actually I can't answer exactly of your questions.
Well, sorry for the interruption. The court does not have any monitoring authority or monitoring procedure, but the Council of Europe does. So I'm going to request you, and I can assist you, but the next step is not for the Parliament alone, but for the Council of Europe. And because the Council of Europe can compel compliance, and they have all agreed countries that once they joined it and they have ratified the convention, they are the ones who have got to comply with the court's decision. So I think the Council of Europe is the one that can compel the Parliament. And you're going to Parliament is fine, but a letter to the Council of Europe that this is the decision and Parliament has got to comply with it. And countries have already accepted that they will comply. So it ought to happen. They cannot dither on it, and they cannot simply postpone it for years.
Thank you very much indeed, Professor Vedanta, for your suggestion.
Thank you. Carl, thank you for your explanation. Can I contact you?
You can,
after
and I'll
the
be happy
meeting,
to
maybe
assist you.
I want to have your explanation.
Yes, Inija will be able to contact you, and Professor Vananda will be able to contact you.
Thank you.
Next question is from Mr. Ankush Bhandari. Ankush, can you please, state your question, please?
Hey, good morning, ma'am. It was nice. We didn't know how your Ramona is affected and what is the history behind it. My simple question is, as a forum, how you think we can help you from here in achieving your goal? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So I had one proposal from the one American pagan community. They proposed. They said that they have a lot of members, they can write letters to the Lithuanian embassy in United States, for instance. So this one, if a lot of people write such support letters, so maybe, and both to Lithuanian parliament, maybe parliament members, so it can be also some help, I think. So, but
Okay. Our next question is from Mr. Ghanshyam Akela from Mythology Corner. He is a reputed publisher who runs 2 publishing houses. One of them is called Kūlgrinda. Second is called Mythology Corner. So I'll give the floor to Mr. Ghanshyam Akela. Please go ahead. You have to unmute yourself, sir.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Thank you for the talk. This is really wonderful. We want to help you, and whatever help you need from us, we are there. We believe that we can raise the awareness by producing maybe like 3 to 5 minute short advertisements and propagating them. That will really garner support. At least that's how in the US issues are broadcasted. So if we can help you produce those, let us know. Or if there's anything else that you want us to do, let us know. We actually were trying to get an interview with your husband, but unfortunately during the process he passed away and we could not produce that interview. But if you want to do an interview with us, we are happy to do that as well. Whatever you want us to do to help you for your cause, we are there.
Thank you very much for your suggestions, and so I think that it would be good. Thank you. But I am sorry, I am just, as I said, I have problems with the sound in my computer, so it's not, I not always can hear what you are saying, but as I understood, so I think that I am thankful for your proposals, and I think that we can contact him personally, and then to think about possibilities for the help.
Thank you, Inija.
Definitely. I will talk to Dr. Adityanji and get your contact information.
Yeah, we will facilitate that communication. There are no more questions through the chat function, but using my prerogative, I'll ask 2 people to either ask questions or comments. One of them is our Director of Outreach from Germany, Mr. Dirklane. Mr. Dirklane, do you have anything for Inija? You are in similar circumstances. Please unmute yourself, Dirk.
Yes, thank you for greetings to all. Thank you for this wonderful interpretation of a culture I never known. And there were some similarities to Romania, also for the Roma people. I'm just looking for the next 2 years, and was looking for the history. How everything starts and how it goes on, and I had seen a film. It is Lachodrome. I can recommend them. Lachodrome is a musician film. You can look it on YouTube. It's a wonderful explanation for a walk through Europe. So this is a similarity where we can show there are connections as well to India. And yes, this is, I think there are lots of little groups in Europe, also the Neopagans, the Celtic movements. These are also similarity traditions to Hindus. So I think I have Hans, there's Mr. Stoll, it's a writer, it's a German writer, and he's a really interesting person. So he has more similarities also to Hindu and Celtic cultures. This is also interesting. I can give you some information about our channel. Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed, Dirk. I'm sure Inija would like all the communication from you.
Thank you so much. I will do the best.
Okay, so the next person I'm going to bring, although the next person I'm going to bring is our executive director, Mr. Carl Clemens. Carl, I want to introduce Carl to this group. He's the work behind, working behind the scenes. So Carl, I would like you to give some comments and suggestions to Inija.
Thank you for that presentation. There is one more question other than in the chat from Ravi Ranjan. Okay. So I just had one question. Speaking to people of indigenous origin from Europe, I find that some of them take offense to the use of the word pagan or neo-pagan, whereas others say that that is the correct term. I wanted to understand what is the origin of the term pagan and whether Romuva people like to be called that or.
Inija, could you hear the question? She was not able to hear the question.
No, if you look, if it's possible, just to write the question, because it's problem with, as I said, with sound. I couldn't hear the question.
Carl, do you want to repeat the question? I unmuted certain
No,
people.
it's better to write because as I said, let's try to let's repeat, but
Yeah, put the question in the chat. You can read it there.
no, sorry. It's I'm very sorry that this my it appears that there are problems with sound in computer, so actually I couldn't hear your question. The sound broke.
Okay, Inija, I will paraphrase the question. The question asked was whether the term pagan is appropriate for Romuva or you would not like that expression to be used.
Is the term pagan appropriate for Romuva? This one question. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, we in Lithuania, we don't like this term because it was applied by Christians for all not Christians, and it's supposed to be such, a wild and not civilized and so on, and and bad, of course. So we'd like in Lithuania, we try not to use this one, but it depends on context. So this word is not bad, but it in Lithuanian has not good meaning. So we rather prefer to use indigenous or ethnic, something like that.
Thank you, Inija. Our last question is from India, from Mr. Ravi Ranjan Singh Jhatka, who is a known, very reputed journalist as well as an activist. So, Ravi Ranjanji, do you want to ask the question directly, or you want me to read the question? Okay, I will read the question here. Are you in touch with other such religious groups? That's the question for Inija. Other similar indigenous religious traditions across the Europe. Are you in touch with them? That's the question.
Yes, actually, in my presentation, I already said it about this European Congress of Ethnic Religions, this organization that connects the traditions, indigenous traditions in Europe. And of course, we have very good relations with our neighbors, with Latvians, with Belarus, with Polish people. So there are, there are a lot of groups. The difference of Romuva or Lithuanian from maybe some groups in Germany or in Poland is that in Lithuania we have one Romuva is such kind as a leader, the biggest group. As far as I know, for instance, in Germany, there are a lot of pagan groups, but they are not united into one. That means that a lot of some small groups. The difference in Lithuania is that Romuva is big and known group. Known, that means people know about us. Of course, there are several others, smaller groups and so on, but as I said, we cooperate with our neighbors and with the groups in other European and North European countries.
Thank you, Inija. There is a last question from Dr. Gautam Bhattacharya. You have already answered it, but since he has put a specific question, Dr. Bhattacharya, you just want to read the question yourself?
Yes, good evening. No, good evening, everybody, and thank you for inviting me. I think that actually replied to the questions. You say that you're cooperating with the neighboring countries, but I'm very glad to see participate, and I hope that we can continue this discussion and more conversations needed. Thank you.
So, friends, we have come to the end of our program. I thank our distinguished speaker, Inija, for a very wonderful and lucid presentation on the Romuva religion and the trials and tribulations of adherents of Romuva religion. We congratulate on your victory in European Court of Human Rights. We understand the work is not done completely, and a number of people from the audience will be willing to work with you and help with you. And International Commission for Human Rights and Religious Freedom will make sure that we facilitate all the bilateral and multilateral communication between our distinguished speaker. Also, as an institution, we will offer you partnership agreement for your organization so that we can work together, and at a possible time in future, we would like to conduct hearings on the issues of Romuva religion in Lithuania and rest of the Europe. So thank you very much indeed to our distinguished speaker. I am also thankful to our audience who have taken this time off on a Sunday morning on weekend to talk about human rights and religious freedom. That shows your commitment to the cause, and we appreciate and applaud all of you for coming for this program. We shall stay in touch. We have information about you, so we will facilitate email communication with Inija so that all of you can give your wonderful suggestions and help to Inija, as well as we can learn from her and get something in return. So thank you very much indeed. And this program is officially over now. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Bye. Thank you very much for